If we go back to June 23rd, we witnessed one of the biggest moves around the crypto space. This is where the Fed said that it was scrapping its reputational risk as a factor in how it supervises banks. This specifically pertained to how they also handled crypto. We have here in a memo released Friday, the central bank says it will remove the term which lawmakers credit with playing a major role in the debanking of crypto firms and other businesses, from exam manuals and train examiners to focus on specific financial risk instead. If the Fed is the last of the major, the Fed is the last major banking regulators to actually get rid of the term. Now, this also aligned with the Fed greenlighting banks. They said that banks are more than free to jump into crypto as long as they do play by the rules. But this happened back in June. Why am I bringing this back up? Well, because we also witnessed a very big announcement quickly after, which was JP Morgan. This was 3 days after the Fed said that banks are fine jumping into crypto as long as they play by the rules. And JP Morgan filed a trademark for JPMD covering crypto trading, digital currency issuance, and blockchain custody services. If we actually look into this, we have trading, exchange, transfer, and payment services for digital assets, including virtual and digital currency, digital tokens and payment tokens, decentralized application tokens, blockchain-enabled currency. Also includes electronic fund transfer, securities brokerage, real-time token trading, custody services, and secure online financial transactions. The second that we watched JP Morgan jump in, what did I say? I said that every single major bank will follow through because this is literally the world's largest bank diving in to tokenized deposits and stablecoin initiatives. When we think about how big that is, it sets the narrative. Every single major bank is going to be doing what JP Morgan does. Most of them already utilize private blockchain tech for tests and trials, just like JP Morgan did with private Ethereum through Onyx, which now is launched on Base with Connexus. Now, from this announcement, we got a few things. Breaking: Deutsche Bank will launch a crypto custody service in 2026. This was huge. Followed by Germany's largest bank group, Sparkassen, will launch crypto trading for retail customers by summer 2026. $5 trillion fidelity among firms applying for Bitcoin and crypto bank charter. Banks are coming. This is massive. Kazakhstan plans to launch a state crypto reserve managed by its central bank, says national bank chairman. When we think about what's going on here, all of the big players are flooding in now. All of the big banks are getting ready to go all in on the crypto train. Why? Why now? Well, because the market is opening up. We are about to get clarity for crypto. We have the stablecoin legislation getting fully passed through along with market structure by the end of August. So when we think about how crazy this is, the market's about to get extremely hot from the TradFi side. We are going to see big banks, Wall Street, asset management companies, all jumping in. This is why I said for years that we need to get prepared before the big players like banks and institutional clients and all of these big, names jump in. We were early. Now we're starting to see the big banks diving into crypto in a huge way, which will lead to mass adoption because their clients are going to be funneled right into crypto. It's clear by what services even JP Morgan wants to offer, Deutsche Bank, the largest German bank group as well. Like, this is all based around, crypto trading for retail clients, crypto custody services. This is also custody services and even trading and payments, even Fidelity, right? They want to become a crypto bank charter essentially as well. They want to apply for this. That's to offer crypto, services. And what's even crazy about this is central banks are also on board the crypto train. Now, I bring all of this up because we recently just witnessed Circle apply for a national trust bank license in the US. This was on June 30th. Now, it was very clear that the second that Circle did this, it was going to shake up the market in a big way. This led to a ton of inflows of people saying we're going to see this name and that name and, all of these names apply for a national trust bank license in the US. And guess what? They were right. It was very obvious. We'll talk about that here in a second, but we have over here from Eleanor Tourette, plus Circle, separately several crypto firms, including Fidelity Digital Assets, have applied for national bank charters from the OCC, which also, by the way, gave the green light to all of the banks. The OCC, the FDIC, the Fed, they all gave the green light to banks to dive on into crypto. They could all dive on into crypto and offer crypto-based services, which would allow them to operate across state lines without money transmitter licenses. By the way, Ripple does have a money transmitter license in almost every single state, which is a huge +1. The applications hint at a growing queue of firms hoping for approval under incoming crypto-friendly OCC chair Jonathan Gold, who has yet to be confirmed by the Senate under the Biden administration. Only one crypto firm, Anchorage Digital, was granted a charter. Now, one thing that I've stated many times over was Ripple becoming a bank, okay? We talked about it for years. In fact, even going back to April of 2024, I said, then you add in the stablecoin Ripple is launching, and it looks like Ripple is on a path to becoming a bank. This has been speculated on since going back to 2020, and now it seems like it's becoming a reality. The XRP ledger and XRP will also play a vital role, in my opinion. Focus on the moves being made right now. If we go back here to Wrath of Kahneman's post from April 12th, we do have XRP ledger tokenization, NFTs, AMM, liquidity pools, KYC and AML, custody, regulatory compliance, DID, and now potentially with lending protocols, XLS 66D. If you squint, Ripple could look increasingly like a bank. And the first comment here from Anderson, issuing their own stablecoins will be the cherry on the top. Yeah, we got the stablecoin, which is exactly why when we think about what Ripple is doing today and the position that they're in, they are essentially becoming a bank. Now, Ledger Insights did comment on this. They said Circle applied for a national trust bank charter. Next step, a Fed master account giving access to central bank money for stablecoin reserves. Ripple also applied for a master account for RLUSD. Why? For institutional usage, likelihood of success. Now, we'll actually go over here to this post. They do break, a few things down. Number one, with Circle, they do talk about the BlackRock connections back to Circle. We also have a few other players that are looking at, having their state chartered licenses and trust, which is like Paxos, Gemini, and even Ripple. Ripple subsidiary, that is, of course, that issues, RLUSD. But also, if we come down here, we have a few quotes from Jeremy Allaire from Circle. By applying for a national trust charter, Circle has taken proactive steps to further strengthen our USDC infrastructure. This would support the development of crucial market-neutral infrastructure for the world's leading institutions to build on. Very interesting. Now, if we come down here, we have Ripple also eyes central bank reserves. Custodia Bank notoriously applied for a master account, failed, and subsequently sued the Federal Reserve. Several other digital asset-linked firms have pending applications, including Kraken Financial, WisdomTree Trust, and even Standard Custody and Trust. Ripple acquired Standard Custody last year, and it is the issuer of Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin. All of these institutions are considered Tier 3, which the Federal Reserve regards as loosely regulated. Hence, they face a stringent review process compared to more regulated banks, and their applications are more likely to fail. Circle's proposed structure could provide a competitive advantage in this regard. An OCC chartered national trust bank would be considered Tier 2 and would have a better chance of getting a master account. For stablecoins that want to appeal to institutions such as Circle's and Ripple's offerings, they want to get as close to the central bank money as possible. That's what the largest institutions use to settle securities transactions. The best stablecoin for institutional purposes would be 100% backed by central bank reserves. Now, when we think about this, And we go to the recent news. Ripple has applied for a national banking license, joining the rush of cryptocurrency companies seeking to cross the divide into mainstream finance. We have clear confirmation that Ripple wants to become a major bank around crypto. This is very crucial to focus on. It's very bullish as well. Brad Garlinghouse said here, true to our long-standing compliance roots, Ripple is applying for a national bank charter from the OCC. If approved, we would have both state via New York Department of Financial Services and federal oversight, and new and unique benchmark for trust in the stablecoin market. Earlier in the week, via standard custody, we also applied for a Fed master account. While Congress is working towards clear rules and regulations, and banks, in a far cry from the years of Operation Chokepoint 2.0, are leaning in, this access would allow us to hold RLUSD reserves directly with the Fed and provide an additional layer of security to future-proof trust in RLUSD. Ripple always has and will continue to build trusted, battle-tested, and secure infrastructure in a $250 billion plus market. RLUSD stands out for putting regulation first, setting the standard that institutions expect. This is crazy. We now have confirmation that Ripple is on a path to becoming a bank. Clear confirmation from even Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. And what's even crazier about this is this quote here. This access would allow us to hold RLUSD reserves directly with the Fed and provide an additional layer of security to future-proof trust in RLUSD. I said, wow. This will be huge if Ripple gets approval. Federal Reserve and Ripple. This is massive. Especially considering the fact that Ripple has ties with the Fed dating back to even 2016, 2015. This is a huge move. This is something that I personally think should be focused on from an even XRP holder side, because RLUSD, even though a large portion of it's not issued out on the XRP ledger, RLUSD is about to get mainstream adoption from the largest banks and even the Fed if this gets approved. What's the likelihood that this does get approved? I do think that's a high probability. Why? Because RLUSD is fully regulated. It's fully transparent, fully backed. Ripple, as a company, has always been compliant. Even with the SEC lawsuit, you got to remember that they were trying to work with the SEC. They were still very transparent. This is one of the biggest announcements that we have witnessed in history of Ripple. Why? Because it gives us a few things to focus on. Number one, the legitimacy of RLUSD in the traditional financial world. Number two, the ties into the Fed. The fact that the Fed will be holding RLUSD reserves goes back to even this post from Ledger Insights. And if we go back into this and we look down here, remember what they said with the reserves. This would put them into a tier 2 spot. And what this allows is institutional players to fully dive on into RLUSD and utilize it to settle securities transactions. Just for reference, the DTCC, who is now tokenizing and tapping into the DLT space, settles over $3 quadrillion worth of security transactions per year. This is why this is so massive. It's not just the spotlight of Ripple becoming a bank, which is definitely big. It's not even the fact that this, puts RLUSD at the top of the pool, right next to USDC. But it's also the fact that this opens up the market opportunity for RLUSD to be tapped in around traditional markets like securities transactions. This is going to be big. We need to focus on this for any major signs of approval, because the second that this gets approved, I do think that RLUSD immediately goes into the big leagues. And I think that we're going to start to see utility around RLUSD and even the XRP ledger really wake up. Because even though RLUSD is mainly issued out on Ethereum right now, the EVM sidechain just went live on the XRP ledger. And we know that the Ethereum network is not a viable network for transactions at scale, especially securities transactions. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because there's more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.